Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to 40 Sermons in 40 Days. Today is number 16, and we're going to go through 40, and who knows, we'll probably do another 40. It's amazing what getting up and preaching every morning will do for you, what it'll do for your heart. And, we have quiet times or devotionals or what I like to call power times, where my power comes from. But this is like, I don't know, it's doing something to me. I hope it's helping you. But I want to ask you, as you're going into this, because now we're almost a month in, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, the human being has an amazing capacity for suffering. It's just we don't know it. This thing's going to make us tough. I guarantee you. Here's a quote that I wish I could give credit to somebody for, but that's the key. You get something, you steal it, you forget where it comes from, and it's original. Wish I'd have said it, but it's tough times produce strong people. Strong people produce good times. Good times produce weak people. And weak people produce tough times. It's a cycle. It's a generational cycle. Think about the greatest generation. It's what they call that World War II generation. Man, they were tough because they went through something that lasted a long time. And then we had an age of prosperity as we went into the late 40s and the 50s. And that produced a very interesting generation that was a little softer, because prosperity times, comfortable times, easy times, they don't really test us. They don't really sharpen us. But then we went into the turbulent 60s and then the 70s, and then all of a sudden we started producing a tougher generation again. And then the prosperities of the 80s and the tech boom in the 90s. But now we've got a generation that's grown up on screens. And it's the first time in human history that we've ever had a whole generation do their life on screens and technology. And it's producing this new generation that in a lot of ways is very soft. And soft generations produce tough times. But check this, we are in the middle of something we did not ask for that's going to produce a tough generation. And we're going to produce good times. This is historic. I want you to think about this. Years from now, decades from now, 100 years from now, generations in the future are going to be studying us. I mean, we're going through something that is up there in recent human recorded history, and you and I are part of this thing. My question is, are you going to come out of it stronger and tougher? Are you going to come out of it weaker and harder hearted? Every single day, you are practicing what you're going to be tomorrow. So I want you to think about this. Can you be the hero? Years from now, when we're old and we're telling stories to our grandkids and great-grandkids, are we going to be able to say, man, that pandemic that you've heard about, that changed my life. It changed it forever. Or are you going to come out of this thing and look back on it and say, man, that was the worst time of my life. That's when I really I took a downturn. You get to choose. And so what I decided was I'm just going to start preaching in the morning, see who tunes in. And I'm so grateful to see your comments, Donna, Frankie. It encourages me. And also, when you share it and you're sharing some good news, unless you don't like it, then you have to share it, But anyway, let's go ahead and get started today. Today we're going to talk about happiness, which, you're not hearing a lot of that right now. And I don't know if you believe the lie that it's impossible to be happy in a time like this. Or does happiness and really joy, which is an inside job, is it present? And if you uncover it, you can find out that there's a joy and there's a happiness that has nothing to do with what's happening to you. Happenstance, that's where we get that word. But it's a state of being that is natural for us. Think about it. We got a little grandson, it's about 1.5 years. He doesn't have any idea about the pandemic. He's 1.5 years from coming straight from the source. But those of us been around the sun a few times, man, these things harden us, and sometimes we get jaded, cynical, a little skeptical, a little negative because things are dark. And I'm telling you, there is a light inside of you that is dying to come out. And if ever we need some joyful people, some happy people, man, it's now. We're reminded of the Great Depression. There were some happy people there, but not the masses. You know, during the wars, during Vietnam, but, you know, during this whole thing, we find out, can you find a part of yourself that you don't even know is there? That's my partner Roots right here. Roots is my dog. I mean, we traveled the world together, a branch that went on a world tour. This was not just a branch that was destined to die and get burned, trash. It was destined to do something to inspire people. And we need some inspirational people right now. So today, we're going to look at the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus' most famous sermon. Think about that we have recorded. There's all kind of things that we didn't record, but this one is the one that it's kind of like that sermon Jesus is known for. And so why not dig into it and find out what it's all about? I love the first part that we're going to study. It's called the Beatitudes. And beatitude, it means a state of blessedness. And that word bless can be translated as happy. Okay, so this is the prescription for happiness. And it doesn't have a little asterisk saying, except when you're going through a very hard time. It's like, man, you can find a depth in yourself. And can you imagine, we get on the other side of this, if you're happy through this, and you find your joy, although you feel the pain, can you imagine how ridiculously happy you're going to be in a month, 2 months, whenever this thing is really blown on through? So today we look at the prescription for happiness. And I don't think we think of Jesus. I keep trying to start it. Do you think of him as joyful and happy and funny? I mean, I see him, I wish we had all the jokes of Jesus. You know, where he's cracking up the disciples on the road, that he's playing with children and chasing them around, throwing them up in the air, that he's spending special time with the brothers and the sisters on the road, just telling stories, you know, and speaking about everything. We don't have that stuff. Jesus was joyful, but he felt the pain. You can feel pain and be joy. As a matter of fact, I believe that joy often hides in our pain. You go into your pain unafraid, and you find that there's joy on the inside. And if you, like I'm going to Kroger today, I got to. And so it's going to be very interesting. I need to be a joyful man in there. If I got to keep 10 feet, then I can holler at people, what's up, bro? I mean, they're like, you can do whatever you want. But we shouldn't be walking around like the walk of the living dead. We're supposed to be the light to the world, right? And have a message of hope. People need to see Jesus today. Maybe you're the one. So anyway, let's get on into it, if I can. In Matthew 5, verse 1, it says, now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on the mountainside and he sat down. His disciples came to him and he began to teach them, saying, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you, happy are you, when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kind of evil things against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, be happy, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. So Jesus gives the prescription for happiness. Blessed equals happy. All right, so you want to be happy? Here's how it works. First of all, I want you to think about the happiest you've ever been in your life. I love asking people, what's the greatest day of your life? And you get to go back through the memory banks and all the files and try to figure out, you got files for everything. If I said, remember your first kiss? You got a file up there, zip, doop, doop. Laurie Tucker, 6th grade, spin the bottle. Can you imagine kids playing spin the bottle, man? They're too grown up for that, man. It was a pure time in the 70s. But anyway, think of a time when you were truly happy and then try to ask yourself why. There's a way. But it's not just during good times. So he goes through, I want to show you the 8 points, the prescriptions for how do you find happiness in a storm. And the first 4 are how do you get right with him. That's where you find your happiness and joy, connect to your source. But then the last 4 are how do you get right and connect with other people and help other people be happy. So the first one is, blessed are the poor in spirit. Happy are those who are poor. But he's not talking about physical possessions and food and money and these kind of things. He's saying the spiritually poor will become happy. See, it's got to be bad news before it's good news. And what we got to do right now is we've got to grieve a little bit. We've got to, be a little, not a little, we've got to long for him, miss him, or want to experience him. Religion doesn't do that. Religion doesn't make us happy. Religious, I don't know, there's a lot of things it is, but it's not going to make you happy. Only he can make you happy. So the first step is, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And then he goes on, so when you realize your spiritual condition, and then the next one is simple, those who mourn will be comforted. Now check this, blessed are those who mourn. Blessed, happy are the unhappy? It doesn't make sense. And like many of the things that Jesus taught, man, you got to dig a little bit. So if I'm poor in spirit and I recognize it and I long to be right with him, close to him, where I can get his comfort, where he can carry my load, where I can be a light, he can be the voice, then I got to realize maybe I don't have that. And then that's got to hurt a little bit, man. If you fall in love and the object of your love, the person goes away, you're going to mourn. I'm not the same without that person, and now I miss them. Okay, we're on the right path now. And a storm can produce this. Man, I ain't got enough. You got to help me, draw me close. This is the product. This show is the product of that prayer. I was like, what do you want me to do? My ministry just went away. That's how I support my family. And it was so simple. It's like, just preach every morning. You want to be happy? Preach. Man, this is the thing that I love doing the most. And I'm talking into a phone, but I love it. This is happiness for me. Spending time with family. Happiness. Man, encouraging people. Happiness. Today at Kroger could be a sad time for me. It could be a happy time. So he says, man, you got to grieve a little bit, mourn a little bit. And then you go to the next one. This is key. He said, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. The meek. That's a word that it sounds weak, man. If you hear somebody, hey, you know so-and-so? Nah, who's that? Man, they're very meek. It's like, oh, really? I want to be told I'm a champion, courageous, he's a noble. Meek. Moses, it said, was the most meek. He was strength under control. It's a wild stallion that's broken and now is useful. So you can't jump on and ride or work a wild stallion. He's going to keep bucking you off. But once you have been humbled and meeked and broken, now God can use you. But you haven't lost any of your power. As a matter of fact, you got more power when you're tapped into him. It ain't about willpower. It's not about self-help, although I do a whole lot of that for myself and for other people. Man, this is about power. And then he goes on, he said, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Okay, so, man, poor in spirit, I don't like it. Man, I got to get humble before him. And now it starts getting good. Now he's going to give us a hunger. And what I see in today's world is more of a thirst. When I'm speaking to people, man, hunger is, give me more, I love this. And thirsty is, please, God, give me a drink. And that's how a lot of people feel right now. Man, if you get that spiritual hunger and thirst for him, you certainly will find what you're looking for. Then he goes into the ones about your relationships. This can be with friends, this can be with family, it can be with strangers. I love connecting with strangers. He says, blessed are the merciful, so they will be shown mercy. Man, I want to challenge you in this state. How merciful are you? Are you seeing the worst in people or the best? Are you seeing the potential in a situation or the worst case scenario? Are you merciful? There's power in mercy to be able to easily forgive. It's not that hard. All you got to do is take your foot off the throat of the person that you hate, that you haven't forgiven. Now's the time to clean up your house, man, and get that stuff out of your heart so your light can shine. But man, it's resentment and bitterness is like drinking poison and hoping your enemy gets sick, and we stay sick. So mercy is so powerful. Then he says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. You want to see God? Oh man, it means our heart needs to be one substance, gold with no impurities whatsoever, that we are single-minded. We're not a double-minded person, unstable in all that we do. Instead, it's, man, one substance, and it's gold, it's faith. That's what we should hunger and thirst for. That's why we ought to be merciful, because everybody wants that. And so now you want to see God, work on the purity of your heart. See things the way he sees them. And man, there's a power that's going to come upon you. And then he says, blessed are the peacemakers. Okay, once you get pure in heart and you can see God, all right, it's time. You got to go out and you got to start being a peacemaker. My whole job, I get to be a peacemaker. When somebody says, what do you do for a living? You know, that's a good question. I say, man, I'm a peacemaker. And they're like, excuse me? How do you get supported for that? I don't know yet. But it's like, help people make peace with one another. Help people make peace with him. It's a mission. And then lastly, this one, he ends with this one, blessed are the persecuted. People are going to be a little ticked off. I mean, they just get used to it. You say, man, make me like you. Do you ever pray that? I want to be like you. And then he's like, yeah, I'll make you like you, but there's going to be some people that ruffle. I mean, they're not going to be that happy with you. And that's okay if we want to be like him, but we'll have joy and happiness. And we're not going to judge people. We're going to be merciful with people, and people that are really struggling with sin or addiction or bitterness or anger or rage or deceit or greed or selfishness. We're not going to judge them. We're going to be merciful with them, and then we're going to be a peacemaker with them. But understand, that's going to come. I like to close out with a story in this crazy 10-year journey me and Roots have been on. And this one comes out of Ohio, at a prison in Ohio called Marion. And it's a fascinating prison that I got to go there lots of times. And I got to go and make friends. And some of the best friends of my life are wearing white with a blue stripe, green, blue with an orange stripe, khaki, denim out on the West Coast. It's like the multicolors of the industrial prison complex. 2.5 million people locked up in the land of the free. So anyway, we went in and launched our 40 Days of Peace. We go in and we create peace movements in prisons. And shoot, you see peace come to prisons with rival gangs, man, anything else is just like impossible, right? Because you see the impossible mission field. And there was one brother that got invited by the warden and to be a part of this program. And his name's Alabama. And he's a big brother, he's old, he's got long hair, he's got this long ZZ Top kind of beard, he's got Coke bottle glasses, he's tatted up, and he's been down 31 years, and he's the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood. Now the Aryan Brotherhood are the white supremacist Nazi, it's a gang, and their whole thing is really, nationally, is contract murder. If you got put a hit on somebody, they do the deal. And so they're very dangerous. And here's the leader of that at this prison. And he's been down 31 years. His name's Alabama, and everybody knows him. He didn't sign up for it, but the warden said, I need you to come one day. And if you don't like it, then don't come back. And he came, but he came with kind of a wait and see. And everybody knows who Alabama is. And ABs get hated on pretty good bit. And so, he's there. I don't know who he is. We haven't connected yet. But he not only came, but he stayed and he got involved. And then we get into tables. It's 8 tables of 12 brothers, and they're sitting with their rivals, and we do this program, and miracles happen. And he got put into a program with a bunch of young brothers of color, several of whom are in a different gang called the Heartless Felons. They come out of Cleveland. Very dangerous young gang that now is recruiting real heavy. And they're enemies with the ABs, obviously. Young black brothers and white supremacists, man, there's no way these guys are getting together. But Alabama was there. Fast forward all the way to the graduation ceremony. I wish you could see these. Some of the most amazing stories of my life happen behind a razor wire where nobody can see them, and I got to come out and just tell the world about them, man. So wherever Alabama wherever Alabama is out there, and he didn't even know that he's inspiring lots of people. Man, I promised them if they become role models, I'll be their voice in the free world. So he was chosen 40 days later to speak at our graduation ceremony. They get certificates. They're filled with joy. We have presentations and skits and songs and spoken word and rap as long as it's clean. And we just have a big party. We eat free world food. They get fried chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, cornbread, cake. I mean, it's like, whoo, that's a big deal in there. And so he gets up to speak, and everybody's kind of, dang, what's Alabama doing up there? And he gets up and he tries to share, but his voice starts to shake a little, and a little tear gets in his eyes, and he says, I got heartburn. And everybody kind of laughs a little bit. And he shares from his heart, and he gets emotional. And he points at that table of young black brothers, and he said, when I came into this, I wouldn't even sit with them. Certainly wouldn't eat with them. But today, they're my family. And then he said, this was real, he said, I might not live with them in the same cell, but look how far he had come. I came back to the next one and hadn't seen him in a minute, and he walked up to me, and it was something different about him. I'm like, what's up, Bama? You look different, man. I mean, he's a wild-looking dude. He's got scars on his nose where somebody tried to bite his nose off. And so anyway, I said, what's different? I said, man, your glasses. I've never seen you without your glasses. And he said, yeah, they got broken. And I'm like, how'd you break them? And he said, man, they got stomped out. Somebody came in my cell and stomped them out. And I'm like, whoa, you let that happen? I said, mad respect. I mean, wow, how did you do that? And he said, it wasn't one of the brothers. It was an officer. And I'm like, dang, blessed are the peacemakers. This guy got poor in spirit. He wanted to change. He started getting a little humble. And then he started to hunger for change. And then he learned to be merciful. And he tried to get his heart pure. And then he became a peacemaker in a dangerous place. Imagine how his AB brothers felt. I mean, here's their leader that's loving on some brothers of color. It's crazy. That's holy ground kind of stuff. Take off your shoes. These are biblical miracles. I'm a knucklehead that gets to witness miracles. No 2 days are the same, man. It keeps me kind of fresh and sharp, but I get dull sometimes too. He got some persecution, and that's all right. I don't know where he is, but I love him, and I hope I get to see him again. Today, man, don't waste this pain. Don't waste this storm. You're going to become the champion that comes out of this and is going to be a light to your family, co-workers, neighbors, to the world. And if you're sitting there going, man, that ain't me. I've never done it like that. Exactly. That's what this is about. This ain't a talent thing. It's a heart thing. I love y'all. Tune in tomorrow at 9 o'clock. If this helps you, just push share, please. There might be somebody out there. It ain't about me. Somebody out there hurting. Think about the people that are quarantined alone. I cannot imagine it. I've got my beautiful wife, and we shut it down at night. We have a peaceful time. No news after 7, no phones after 7. Tonight is game night. We have a couple of date nights. We have a nice time out on the deck. It's a peaceful time. It's how I find my happiness. Man, I can't wait to see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I get excited about this. Share it. There's a link. Go to my YouTube and just subscribe. I'm trying to build that thing. I've never really done that. But there is all of these. The whole 40 are going to be there, and you can share them. You can use them for small groups, and you can use them for midweeks. This 40 Days of Prayer, my miracle journey, and we've got a church that launches tonight. We've got a corporate team that launched yesterday. Let's start a prayer movement. Let's build a spiritual juggernaut. I keep saying I love y'all because I do. See you tomorrow. You're awesome.